Now, what are the short-term goals in this process? What are some of the low-hanging fruit? What are some of the things you can look forward to, the quick wins, the easier wins? We're going to start tackling that depression block by block, gradually lifting away the impressions, sanskaras, and little by little, we're going to clear away some of the small ones, little by little, start removing some of those big ones. And then you're going to feel the depressive cycle breaking, lifting. It's going to feel really good. Tension, weight is going to come off of you and you feel lighter, clearer. Process, you're going to just become a lot healthier. You'll get sick less often. You may find that you don't have to sleep as much. You'll become more in control over your moods. You'll be able to step back, not get so caught up in what's happening at that moment, be able to say each mood is something that's passing. You'll be able to, be in an unpleasant situation where unpleasant things are happening, not going your way. You'll be able to step back and just say, hey, wait a second, this too shall pass. It's okay. I see that thought, I see you there, and I don't have to get absorbed into you. This too shall pass. It's just a passing moment. I can be okay letting this go. Okay, I'm kind of getting into a disagreement with you. Okay. I'm not getting stepped on. I'm not going to let myself get stepped on. If I need to, I'll speak out. But if I don't feel it's the right thing to do, that's okay. Feel you can have it your way. It's not a big deal out of my life. That's okay. So gaining self-control is something that we will we're working on. You're going to see that control gradually increase over time. Your threshold of getting angry is gradually going to grow over time. It's going to grow little by little. If there's a really annoying situation, for me the other day there was some noise going on. I was getting super annoyed. Before, I would have gotten really annoyed in 1 minute. This time I was able to last for 10 minutes. I still blew up after 10 minutes, but it was like a back and forth process. It was like the annoyance was coming up. I was able to push it down. It's going up, push it down. And eventually I got overwhelmed, but that threshold was so much greater than it would have been years ago. Our blood pressure is going to go down. We're just going to feel more relaxed in general. There's less stuff that's going to annoy us, irritate us. We're going to be more in this resting state, this state of presence. We're just going to be present and aware and okay with what's going on. It may not be perfect. It may not be everything we wanted, but we're just going to be able to be there with the moment, with the stream of sensory inputs, of data coming in. Be with that stream in that moment to the extent that we can. Just be in a state of awareness. That could be in a meeting at work. It could be while you're driving. It could be while you're walking down the street. It could be just having a simple conversation in person or online, and just be more aware of what that person's saying and questions you may have for that person, or responses. Different questions may come to your mind that you wouldn't have had before had you been less aware. You're going to be able to enjoy life more if you're more aware. Even the food that you're eating, you're going to be able to direct your attention to that sensory input you want to focus on, the taste of the food, rather than 80% of your mind being in a thought and 20% of your mind tasting the food. You can put 50% of your mind, 60% of your mind, 70% of your mind. We're gradually going to increase that percentage on the food. The amount of time in that amount of attention is going to increase over time. This process will affect every area of your life, because there's no part of your life that's not affected by your concentration and awareness. Relationships with other people are going to get a lot better. You're going to be able to see the nuances in those relationships, really appreciate them, give people the attention they deserve. So there's a lot of short-term benefits, and we may have these long-term goals of going to other dimensions, experiencing what may be out there. We have a lot more goals, a lot more real tangible benefits that can happen a lot sooner, and we can see them coming and work gradually toward them and see the incremental progress, sometimes in a stepwise fashion, making some big leaps as we remove core blockages, sometimes gradual, step by step, step by step. We're going to be able to see these benefits coming in. If you don't see these benefits, let me know. But also, don't get discouraged, because it can take a few months sometimes even a few years for some people to start getting really, really strong benefits and moving the needle in dramatic ways. But in a few months, at least, you should see significant changes start to happen. Remember, it's a marathon, not a race. Keep that in mind. It's a marathon, not a race. But as people with depression, we don't have the option not to run the marathon, because all of the really quick solutions that I have tried do not fundamentally address the problem. As people with depression, we have to address it head on and tackle it and uproot it. And I haven't found a way that is really quick and fast to get rid of depression. What I have found is something that is extraordinarily effective, makes sense, that I can feel it's working over time. And I began to feel it really work about 3 years into the process. Then I was able to look back and really see results. And after 5, 6 years, I was able to look back and see even greater results and really significant results. And if I continue to stay on medication, if I continue to do ineffective meditation techniques, if I continue to try all the short-term stuff that I was trying, which only made temporary impacts for, a day or so, then I wouldn't have had any of this benefit. And if I had started earlier, like a year into medication instead of waiting 11 years, I would have been where I am today with all these benefits a lot sooner, and I would have had more time to do what I would have wanted to do in my life. So, it's about deciding, you want to start the process, you want to stick with it. And as people with depression, severe depression like me, ongoing depression like me, unfortunately, there isn't a good alternative. I wouldn't have been able to just say, hey, I don't want to put in the legwork, but I don't want this depression. I'm tired of this depression. Take it away. I prayed to God so many times, just take it away. But it took a lot of work. It took years of work, consistent work. Going to meditations with a guru every other day for years. It took a year where I was meditating 13 hours a day. It took a program with Sadhguru in Coimbatore, India, where for 8, 9 months, I'd wake up at 4:45 a.m. every day in the morning and do what they call sadhana, which we would call yoga practices, and meditation. Sleeping in a room with 200 people, getting woken up sometimes at all hours of the night. So it takes finding a practice that can actually work and deliver the results for you. And it definitely takes dedication. And if you're following a practice that isn't right for you, not delivering results, you could practice it, go down that road till you're blue in the face, and you might not get anywhere. You could also find something that is good, that works for you, that is working, is removing blockages, and you could just decide, okay, I'm going to try that once. Try that once or twice. Oh, okay, I didn't see a result. My depression isn't gone. I'm not going to do it anymore. And you could look back years later and realize that you're in the same spot you were, and you wasted years. And comparatively, like those 6 years, those few years, you could have been using that to dig yourself out of this hole. I don't want people to make a lot of the same mistakes that I made, wasting huge amounts of years of my life, either doing things that weren't effective or avoiding the situation on medication, or engaging in a lot of activities that just bring a short-term benefit, short-term dopamine hit, even activities that are really constructive, like all the social interactions I was doing, community associations, religious organizations, even more physically based yoga practices. All these things make you feel good in there, and they are healthy, but what they didn't do is get me out of depression. They didn't get me out of depression. I was in the same depression, the exact same depression, with the exact same depressive feelings, the exact same mood cycle, the exact same notes of that depression were exactly the same. So many years after doing all those things. And I want more people to actually get out of depression and permanently get out of depression, because we don't have to live with depression any longer. And that's what I feel I'm here to say, and the message I feel that I'm meant to deliver to anybody who winds up listening to this. That we can really take control. We have the ability to take control. But we have to step out of our conditioning and our mindsets and what society has told us to do when we are depressed, because it obviously doesn't work. And you can look at all these people who are on medication endlessly and who feel depressed for so long, and it just doesn't end. And it's all over the place. And if the general society had a solution, if they had a playbook, then so many people, including myself, wouldn't have been in this situation. So it's not effective. And if it is, it's just in the short term, for a day, or while you're doing the activity, or you're building up some endorphins. It's a very short term thing. It's not a solution. And what I want to tell people is that there are ways to clear out depression, but it's in the roots. It's in these emotional roots that are tied to sanskaras, tied to karma, tied to past deeds, past actions, past lives that have been so painful that the only way for us to get through it at that time was to stick that energy into ourselves and hold on to it. And the only way we're going to get rid of that is to go down to those core original emotions where the stuck energy is and release it and get it out. And any of this short-term stuff, any of this stuff that we can just go and do, even like exercise, if it's not getting to those core emotions and releasing them, then we're still going to be carrying them. We're going to be carrying them this life, and we may very well be carrying them into future lives, because guess what? There's so many of these blockages that it would have been impossible for me to acquire them solely in this life. As I've gotten rid of depression, I've seen so many of these come out. I realize there's no way that they accumulated all in this life, and some of them didn't even feel like an experience I had in this life. So it could very well be that if we don't get rid of them now, we're going to see these come back again to bite us in the tuchus in a future life. Okay? And I sure wouldn't want that to happen to me or to you or to anyone else. So we need to take responsibility for what's there, for what we're carrying, even though we don't know what it is and we don't remember how it even got there. So now the first thing is that you know it's there. You know there's this past life karma, sanskaras, blockages, energy knots. You can use any of those terms. You can call it another term if you want. Stuck emotions. I'm carrying them, you're carrying them, we're all carrying them. And some of these are causing depression. And if you have depression, There's a whole lot of these, a whole mountain of these that you're carrying. And until that load is off your shoulders, out of your spine, out of your chest, out of your throat, this cycle isn't going to end. And we can temporarily muscle our way out of it or distract our way temporarily out of it, but it's not going to end. And what we're doing here, even if it's in a step-by-step way, is you might see it a slow way, a gradual way, a gentle way. It's a way that is actually effective, and I can attest to that. It's a way that is gradually and stably and slowly effective to get rid of depression from the roots so it doesn't come back, and you can feel this depression leave you little by little over time with each one of these blockages that you get rid of. So it's just important to really be critical of what you're doing and find things that provide a sustainable solution. And if you find something sustainable that you know is going to work, then stick with that. Because this is not just going to take 1 or 2 hour-long meditations. Again, I spent over 6 years just in this process of Shaktipat, of direct blockage removal. I've achieved results I didn't think were possible, but it did take time. It's going to take time, but I'm glad that I put in the time in this way. Because after 2-3 years, I could really feel I was getting lighter, and I hit some of those larger blockages that started coming out. I started feeling amazing, and that effect magnified in the last couple of years. I'm able to do more, start experiencing more in the last couple of years. So I want to make an effective process available, and I want it to be explained. I want it to be understood. I don't want it to be mysterious and something that's tucked away in some corner of India that no one's going to hear of, and if they hear about it, they won't have any idea of what it is or how it works. So I really want to make this available to all of you.